everyone, so this is my 4-month update of us moving from Ontario to Alberta. So I just wanted to share with you how we've been getting on since we've moved. I have had a few people message me and reach out and say like, hey Kat, like how are things in Calgary and how is life in Alberta? So I just wanted to try and give you an update of everything since we've moved over here. I am going to do a couple of separate videos just to give you an idea of like the differences between the provinces, but this video is purely an update to let you guys know how we've been doing as a family since moving here. So Taylor's all settled into his school now, so we've moved into Cochrane. He's going to a local school. I will say one thing that I did notice that is a bit of a bummer from Ontario is out here you have to pay for the school bus, and it's not that cheap. It's like $350 for the year for him to catch the bus, where in Ontario it was free. The house is great, so I'm really loving like having our own space, and I love the house. Like we've got some things and everything that we want to do. Like behind me I have painted the kitchen units as like a temporary fix until we can save up the money to afford a new kitchen, but just in the meantime I've done that. I am now working, so I finished my college course, I think that was at the end of April now, and as soon as I finished it, so this is coming back to like, because for those of you if you've just tuned in, I moved over here with my family. I was on a student visa, so I studied and done a 2-year college course. Once you finish doing your studies, you can then apply for your postgrad work permit, which I have now done. So the process was, sorry, Hugo's running around. He's brought me a ball, thanks. The process was reasonably straightforward. So I finished the course. The only thing that concerned me was if you read up about it, it's very sort of unclear as to whether you should be working once you've finished your college course. Now, the short and simple answer is that when you finish your college course, if you apply straight away, like literally straight away for your postgrad work permit, then as soon as you've applied, you're entitled to work full-time. But if you haven't applied, then you're supposed to not be working at all. So it was like a process. So anybody who's on a study permit and who's sort of coming up to the end, I would really advise, and this was a good bit of advice that I got from somebody, was fill out the application for your postgrad work permit before you finish your course, and then just leave it so that, Hugo, will you stop? Just leave it so that you can go back and just add in, because what you will need in order to complete your application is your credentials from your college. So once you've finished your course, you then have to wait for the college to send you out your transcript, just to show what you've done and that proof that you've completed the course basically. So with that, it was all about tying up the finer details. So I had actually applied for a job. I'd got an interview and they accepted me for the job. So my new job is a condominium manager. I work in Calgary. My job was set to line up for they wanted me to start on the 2nd of May. Now with the college, I was only able to start working full-time after they'd given me my transcript. Now the college were saying that they were going to be doing it the last week in April and possibly the first week into May. So I was panicking, thinking, oh my God, I need to get this done because I don't want to be working here illegally. I want everything to be tied up. So with my college, I'd emailed the registrar to say, look, I've got a job offer. Is there any way that you can expedite my credentials? And Georgian College in Aurelia, they were really, really helpful, and they did. They just asked to see a copy of my job offer, which shows the date that my work wanted me to start. I sent that over. They then sent me back the credentials really quickly, and then I was able to add it to my postgrad work permit that I'd already filled out. Now it takes blimmin' ages. I mean, it might not if you're just one person, but I had to not only apply for myself for my postgrad work permit, but add Taylor. I needed to do Taylor's extension to his visitor visa, Scott's extension to his open work permit. So there was like 3 different applications that I lumped all under myself. And the process and all of the paperwork you have to fill out is lengthy. So I would advise, don't leave that to the last minute. Fill it out. You can save it and come back to it. And I'm sorry that Hugo's in the background making a load of noise and running around as I'm trying to explain all of this to you and trying to bring me his ball. Thank you. It's all wet and slobbery. So anyway, that was all done. If anyone has got any questions about the postgrad work permit, I think I found it reasonably easy just to do it yourself. I didn't think, I wouldn't say that you need any immigration lawyer to apply for your postgrad work permit unless you're really uncomfortable with like the technology and the IRC login and all of the paperwork you have to do. But it's generally quite straightforward. It gives you the documents that you need to do, and I don't think anyone would have any issues with that. So that's that done. So when we first arrived, I think I've already told you, all of our stuff arrived from Ontario, like the move-in truck that turned up on like the Wednesday, and then the Thursday we had Scott's parents come out to stay with us for 10 days. They left, and then my parents come out for 2 weeks. So like the first month that we lived here just flew by, and it was just a whirlwind of going out and seeing different places and being with family and showing them the local areas, and it was really nice. Since then, I'm not going to lie, and I don't want this to be too depressive, but I have struggled a little bit with the transition from being over here rather than Ontario. And I really think that is, like, when I come to think about it, I think it's because when we moved from England over to Canada, I thought that was the biggest move that we could make, and then it wouldn't matter where we ended up in Canada because we've already made that leap, so it wouldn't matter. But why I think I've been struggling is that when we moved to Barrie, I had family. So we moved initially in with my cousin. I had my auntie that lives around the corner. I've got cousins, second cousins. There's quite a lot of different family that I've got that are all in Ontario. So I didn't feel alone. I felt like I had family connections, and then from the family I then made friends. Whereas here, I've got one friend who is also from England, who's been here a long time now, but that's it. I've literally got the one friend. I'm feeling a little bit isolated, and I don't have family. There's no one that I can just pop round and have a cuppa. It's in Barrie, if you've ever seen the videos, we were in like a crescent, and like everyone was really friendly. It was a big sort of community, very neighbourly. Here, it's not that it's not neighbourly and it's not a community, but it's more of like a new build development. It doesn't have the same vibe. I'm not like, the neighbours don't like invite you over to their houses or anything, and I'm just struggling to think of, at my age, how am I gonna meet people and like make friends. So I work in Calgary, but the job that I'm doing is not a job where there's loads of people my age. There's not anyone my age that works there, and that's another difficult thing, because generally you can go to work and then you can build up work friends, but it's not that kind of environment. And then on top of me being a sad loser and not having any friends, Scott works away. So Scott is still working up in the mines, so I literally drop him off to the airport, and then he flies, and then he's gone. He works 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, but if you think about it, there's 2 days either side for traveling, so he gets 12 days here with me, and then 16 days actually at work. The other thing is that Taylor is now in England. He has been in England for nearly a month now, so he flew home to spend some time with his dad and my parents and all of the family, and it's been a case of now it's literally just me and Hugo hence Hugo's getting me to throw the ball all the time. So it's sort of been even more lonely. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a family event over in Barry, and I decided, obviously Scott was at work, Taylor was in England, what have I got to lose? So I took myself on a plane and I went back to Ontario for the weekend, and I think I went Friday to Sunday. It was just, I had a really lovely time. You don't even want to ask me how much the flight tickets were, because it was ridiculous, like criminal how much they're charging. But I'd been saving now that I'm working anyway, so I didn't have to pile things on my credit card. It's just that I blitzed my savings that I had and just went for a weekend and spent it with family. But it was just nice to have some company, because otherwise I'm coming home and I'm talking to Hugo and he can't answer me. The other thing that I've been struggling with a little bit is the weather. So it's not that it's been terrible, but it's been like a monsoon out here. It's almost been like being in England with the amount of rain. Now, everyone has told me that this is completely unlike it here to have this amount of rain. They said that this hasn't happened since 2013, but obviously it's my first experience of Alberta is, what is it, it's like the middle of July now, and we've only just the last week started getting the like decent weather over 20s. It's been struggling to get over the 20s since we've been here. Now the difference is, or the difference that I've found is, in Ontario you've got 4 seasons. So you've got your snow, and then you've, like, throughout the winter the snow comes, you've got all of that thick snow that you've probably seen in my vlogs. Sorry, then you've got the spring, then you've got like a bit of the rainy season, then you've got the summer. But the spring to summer over there is quite hot, and it's humid, of course. Whereas here, I find, like, when we come out to visit in January, before we bought out here, it was minus 20 something in Barry with thick snow on the ground, and here it was like minus 15 one day and then plus 14 the next day. So it's not, the weather's completely different. So there was times when I was looking on my phone and the weather said it was still minus something in Barry, and it was in the pluses here, but it's in the low pluses. So it's kind of like I feel like there's 2 seasons out here, like winter and summer, and then there's not really the other differences. So I've struggled with the rain, because the rain is depressing, and when you're already feeling alone and isolated, that doesn't help. But to liven things up, it's not all doom and gloom. In comparison, like I feel like this homesickness towards Ontario, and feel drawn back there. However, I can't afford a shed in Ontario, so it's not an option for us unless things drastically change with the house prices. Out here, it is different and it is stunning. So if people are moving over here, don't be discouraged by me saying, oh, I miss Ontario, because there's reasons for me missing Ontario, and it's because I've got connections there and it's not so much of a big leap. For me, if I'd have come here first and not known anyone, I probably would have been really happy and like over the moon and loved it. It's just that I've started off with family, and I guess I've transitioned into that and then created a little network, and then I've uprooted it, and then it's like a whole new fresh start. So most of you guys, if you're moving from the UK to Canada and you don't have family out here, you'll probably feel this initial what have I done, like where am I? And I feel like I didn't have that before, but this is just naturally what I'm experiencing now. So some of the good things that I've found about living out here is the traffic. There is a lot less traffic than there is in Ontario, like by miles. So they sometimes say that there's bad traffic here, but they haven't lived in England, driven on the M25, or been in Ontario and been on the 400 or the 401, so they don't know what traffic is. The traffic is a good thing. It's only sometimes, obviously I work in Calgary, so it is a bit of a commute and it does get to me some days, but generally in the morning I can get to work, because I work in the southeast, so I'm working really at the furthest point in Calgary from here, and it takes me 45 minutes in the morning. To get back home it could take me an hour. In sort of like the rush hour traffic, it just builds up a little bit, but nothing too crazy. The other plus side of Alberta is how beautiful it is, and I mean visually stunning. Like, when I drive anywhere, not just to and from work, and you see the mountains in the background, it is literally takes your breath away. And we've done quite a few outings. Banff, love it. Lake Louise, I love it there. Canmore is beautiful. We haven't been to Edmonton yet, so that's still on the list of things that we want to do. I still want to go to Drumheller. We went a couple of weekends ago, we went down to Medicine Hat because we've got some friends who live down in Medicine Hat, so stop. That's a nice place. It's hot. It's hotter there in Medicine Hat. So that was a nice little weekend and a nice little break. Where else have we been? We just had our friends Bar and Vet just come over as well from England. I think that for the third time of coming out to see us, which is amazing. And they come out and we went to the Stampede. So we've just literally, they went home on Sunday and we've had the best time. And I forgot about everything because I had friends again, and life was good. And we went to the Stampede, we went to the parade in the morning, which was fantastic. I have got a Stampede video, if Hugo will be quiet. Be quiet. Yeah, so I've got a Stampede vlog that will be coming out. That was insane, I really loved it. And as well as going to the Stampede, the day before that we took them to Lake Louise and then Banff. Now when we went to Banff this time, and I should have vlogged it, but that probably would have been comedy gold for you to watch, for anybody to watch that. We went in canoes. So me and Scott had a canoe and Bart and Yvette had a canoe. And it was almost divorce at the end of it. It was an experience, and we now know never to go with our other halves on a canoe. The canoe on Lake Louise probably would have been fine, but the canoe in Banff, where we went to the canoe club, it's basically part of the Bow River, so there is a current. Now, I haven't been in a canoe before, and I'm trying to paddle and Scott's paddling the other way, and then he tells me to not paddle, and then there's a tree coming, and then it almost decapitated me, and he told me to not paddle, so that was obviously his fault that we crashed, not mine, because he told me not to paddle, said he'd got it, and then when I was almost being impaled by the tree, he said, no, I don't have this. So that's an experience, but it was Lake Louise, nice calm water at $145 per canoe, or Banff down the river at $50. So we chose the $50 option, but maybe I should have chose the $145 and I would have been safe without any tree incidents. After that we went to the hot springs, which I've been to a few times now, and I love that. Great value for money out here, $9.25 to get into the hot springs, so I highly recommend that to anybody. And then the other thing that we've done recently is Boundary Ranch, so in Kananaskis, which is about 45 minutes away from us here. There is a ranch, and we done a horse riding trail, and that was just lovely. It was an hour's trail and it was $69 per person, but I would highly recommend anyone to the Boundary Ranch. And when we were going around on the horses, they showed, we went past some like teepees, and they said that in the winter that's where they do the dog sledding, and then you go back to the teepees for a campfire and hot chocolate and marshmallows. And I was like, yes, that sounds like what I want to be doing this winter, going to see that. So the other thing about my job that I forgot to mention is that, so obviously I've just finished my college course and now I've just started this job as a condominium manager, and as of the end of last year, I believe, they have now brought in that anybody that's a condominium manager has to now be licensed with RECA, which is like the Real Estate Council of Alberta. Thank you, Hugo, for the slobbery ball. And so I finished one college course and now I have to take another college course, and I've got two courses to take. I've done one already and I've got my first exam next Wednesday, so fingers crossed. And then I have to do the other coursework and then do my final exam. So there's 2 exams for me to then be a licensed condominium manager. And then it's all a case of then us waiting to apply for our PR. So at the moment, I believe that I have to be working full time to apply for PR, but there is a provincial nomination system. Stop. That I could apply for once we've got our visas back. So at the moment I applied for our visas on the 2nd of May and we're still waiting, and it's the middle of July, but the IRC are very, very, very slow. They're very backlogged at the moment. We've got a letter at the moment that's given us an extension because our visas did expire at the end of July, and then they've just written us a letter to say that basically that they're processing our application and that we're still covered until I think it's like the 31st of August. So they've given it a month's extension, and no doubt on the 30th of August, that's when we'll receive the visas. That's normally how it works. But as long as it's done, it's done. I'm happy with that. Like, I don't have any concerns really, because I've done the 2-year course, so that should entitle me to a 3-year post-grad work permit, and then Scott's extension and Taylor's extension. So fingers crossed everything works out and goes to plan. Taylor has settled in well. So he's met some friends from school. So the only thing that's a little bit sad is that he doesn't have the same after school friendships as he did in Barrie. So in Barrie and Innisfil, where my cousin lived, both of them were sort of off the main road, and they were crescents or cul-de-sacs that all of the kids, there'd be loads of kids on the street, and after school and in the evenings all of the kids would be out playing every single day till the cows come home. They all just wanted to play. And obviously when we lived in Barrie, we lived opposite the woods, and Taylor and his friends would go over there with little walkie-talkies and everything. And out here, Taylor is struggling for friends to actually want to come out of their house. So what he's finding is, I don't know, maybe it's the weather. The kids kind of want to stay indoors more and they want to play on the Xbox, whereas Taylor wants to be outdoors all the time and playing, which I'm not going to complain with. That's a good thing. So I am hoping that he can find some more friends that want to come out more, because it's a shame for me to think that he had those friendships in Ontario, and like they were all with each other non-stop. I barely saw Taylor, which isn't a bad thing that I'm seeing him now, or I will see him when he gets back from England. I just know that as an only child here, he needs that sort of kid networking, kid support, whereas I think quite a lot of his friends out here have all got siblings, so it's not so important to them to be out playing all the time because they've got company. So I have signed Taylor up for hockey this year. So he was doing hockey in Barrie. I've signed him up for hockey here, but it's crazy money. So like, I think in Barrie we paid $500 registration fee, and I thought that was expensive. Out here it's $1,000 registration fee. So I registered him the other day at the weekend, and there was a question at the end saying, do you want to volunteer for the hockey team? And I thought, well, I really know nothing about hockey other than going to watch Taylor. I don't know anything about it. So I clicked no. When I clicked no, it said, if you, please note, if you do not volunteer, it will be an extra $500 added to your registration fee. I was like, $500 for not volunteering. That's mental. And then the options that I had for volunteering was head coach. Well, God help the kids if I'm the head coach. Board of director. So the only thing that I could volunteer was for Jersey girl. So I have now volunteered myself to wash the dirty hockey jerseys, because for $500 to save me spending that, then I may as well put the money into soap and wash things, because that's the only thing that I can think of, because I don't know, as I said, I don't know enough about hockey to help anyone. Scott's still doing good at work, I've got work, so everything's falling into place. I just need to get myself a social network. So Scott has joined the football team or soccer team out here, so it kind of lands on his feet a bit more, because he joins a team and then he meets all of the lads from football, and then he can kind of network that way. For me, I don't want to join a football team, and it's difficult. Like, how do you sort of meet people if you're not in team sports or anything? And I go to the gym, but it's not a place that you can sort of meet anyone. So exciting stuff coming up. I've got both of the kids flying back from England together by themselves on Sunday. So this is the first time that the kids have ever flown on their own, but it's difficult because how else do we get them back? So when Taylor flew from here back to England, my one friend that I've got out here who's from England was actually going back to England for a month as well. So I managed to put Taylor on the same plane as her and her kids, and that just saved the cost of Taylor's dad flying out here to Calgary to collect him to then fly home, because it is a lot of money at the moment, especially in the summer. So we did that, and then coming back I couldn't get him on the same flight as Becky, my friend, because that was way too expensive, so we had to choose a different day. And flying with Air Canada, you can pay $100 and do an unaccompanied minor. So both of the kids are going to be flying back together, and I think because they've got each other, they're cool with it, so they're going to do that. So then I'll be picking them up from the airport on Sunday, and then not next week, when is it? Yeah, the weekend after. Oh, I don't know, I'm losing track. At the end of the month, basically, at the end of July, when Scott gets back from working, we're going to do a road trip, and we're driving down to Idaho from here. I think it's about 6.5, 7 hours drive, and we're going to Silverwood theme park with the kids, and we're going to stay in a place called Coeur d'Alene and check that out. Apparently it's a really nice area, so it will just be good to get a little road trip and go across the border, and hopefully there's no dramas there. Other than that, we've got Georgie out here. We will have Georgie out here for like 6 or 7 weeks, so she's here with us until the very end of August. So we're going to have a fun summer with the kids. Be it that I'll be at work, but there will be I'll be off at the weekends. There's a couple of long weekends, so we'll be able to do some fun things. So I think that's about it from me. Sorry if I've waffled on, but I just wanted to tell you everything that's sort of happened in the last 4 months, from finishing my college to applying for my visas to going to these different places, to sort of thoughts and feelings and everything. But if anyone's got any questions about anything that I've said or anything, then please just pop it in the comments below. Please don't get disheartened if you're thinking about moving here, thinking you're going to be lonely, because it's like everyone is going to have completely different experiences of the move, and this is just my personal experience and how I'm sort of adapting and finding things. As soon as I've got a social network, as soon as I've got people here, then I'm fine, I'm happy. So it's just about building that up, and then everything will hopefully be peachy. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me waffle on for however long I've waffled on for, and I will hopefully bring you some better, more upbeat videos next time.